I'm Bruce Apar, and you're watching Frank Talks with Bruce the Blog. Frank Talks with Bruce the Blog is brought to you by Chase Media Group, provider of multimedia marketing solutions for an omni-channel marketplace. And by the way, I do say that every show, but I've been noticing on all of the information that I surf online and other places that the word omni-channel, at least in the marketing and advertising and retail worlds, is starting to get a lot more traction now. So just remember, we were one of the first people to be using it locally. And we always thank our CEO, Carla Chase, and our CSO, which is Chief Strategy Officer, Frank J. Rich, and my occasional co-host, but he could not be here with us for this show, for producing the show and bringing it to you, whether you're watching it on TV or computer or a mobile device or however you might be watching it. And you can see this and all of the past shows as well on YouTube. Just search on YouTube for Townlink TV or even Bruce the Blog. And the show, for those of you who are new, talks about and interviews people who are really making special contributions to our community in the most positive ways. And I'm really happy that I have somebody I've gotten to know recently, and it's really been my pleasure to get to know Katie Schmidt, who's with us and is the executive director of Embark, right?
Yeah.
That's E-M-B-A-R-K, in Peekskill. But I mean, our show goes to a very wide area of the Hudson Valley, Katie, and even though Embark is a Peekskill specific organization, I think anybody anywhere watching the show will, appreciate and relate to what you're trying to do and what you have done in a very significant way. And as you know, certainly this type of effort, cultural events and activities, goes on in other towns as well, right? I mean,
absolutely.
So
yes.
maybe a good first question is, where did the inspiration come from? And let's also immediately establish that your partner, so to speak, in terms of founding the organization is Sol Miranda.
Yes,
right?
yes, Sol Miranda.
And she couldn't be here today, but I don't know if we should we mention drop the name of why? So Sol is a very
Sol
successful actor.
An accomplished actor,
Yeah.
both on stage, film, television, and she can't be here today because she is working on a new TV show.
And that's it. We're not going to say who. We're not going to
No,
say the very big name.
No, we can.
Yeah.
We can because we've already announced it, and
Okay,
we're
great.
really proud.
I think it's amazing.
Yeah. No, Sol is she is one of the cast members of a new show written and produced by Tina Fey.
Right.
Yeah. So that show, which I should know the title. The title should come trippingly off my tongue, and it doesn't.
Yeah,
Although what is ironic is the name. There's a name in the show which is Kimmy Schmidt, and we thought that was interesting because my name
one
is
of the characters?
Katie, the lead character
Is Kimmy Schmidt?
Yeah. So
is that Tina Fey's character? Do you know?
No, Tina Fey's not acting in the show. Actually, no.
She's just writing and producing it.
Right.
Okay.
So so Sol has a reoccurring guest role,
That's
which
great.
means she's definitely in the pilot, and hopefully will continue to be in the show. And so she's in the city today for a table read.
Right.
And the show will be premiering not in September, but in January. So everybody watch for the new Tina Fey show.
That's exciting. That somebody from our immediate area is doing that. I mean, I don't I think there's no bigger name today in entertainment than Tina Fey. I mean, she is
Right.
so hot and very talented, obviously.
And Soul has said very wonderful
Very nice,
to work
yeah,
with thus
yeah,
far.
yeah.
So I mean, no, it's great. And Soul is, like we both have been working in the industry for 30 years.
Yeah.
And, she's done amazing work. And so it's exciting for her to have this opportunity, which is, something so visible and
Right.
so much at the top of her field, working with someone who
Right.
is so much at the top of the field.
Oh yeah, I mean, and as somebody who has my own dreams and has barely scratched the surface, but getting to know a little bit more now about the acting profession. I mean, to be cast in a show that's being produced by somebody like Tina Fey, you have to be just one of the best.
Right.
I mean, you do. I mean,
Yeah.
it's because
Yeah.
the competition is so fierce. So that's as we say, break a leg, Soul.
Yes,
So, yeah.
yes. So we miss her today, but
yeah.
She's gone for a good reason.
So with you, yeah, that's a good reason. So with you and Soul, where did the inspiration to create Embark come from?
Well, since we both come primarily from a theater background and have both worked professionally, I've worked both as an actor, director, choreographer, sometimes a designer. I love all things performing arts, and had been living in the city as Soul did for several years. But when we moved up to this area, and we kind of found each other. Actually, ironically, we first met each other at our children's preschool. So
As often happens,
yes.
yeah. You meet through your children.
Yeah, and I knew that she had an acting background, so we chatted briefly, actually, when we first met. But she was still very, very busy, still going back and forth to the city a lot. She also teaches at Hostess Community College, where she teaches speech and theater and was directing. So she was very busy. We rediscovered each other a few years later when we were both involved with a production from Antonio Arts. Scarlett Antonio.
Sure, I know very well. She does a great job. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Scarlett was doing a production of Cats,
Yes,
a
yes.
very large musical production.
Right.
And I was heavily involved. I was working with Scarlett. I actually performed in it. I directed several of the musical numbers and actually also designed the costumes, which was a little crazy, actually,
Really?
because it's a
Wow.
huge production.
And where it was at the
It was at the
locally
Paramount. It was at the
Yes.
Paramount,
Right.
yes. So Soul's daughter was in the production, and actually Soul came to help me with costumes. She volunteered, and we just started talking. And we talked about Peekskill, and we talked about the Paramount, which is beautiful. I mean, there's no denying.
it's a treasure,
grand
yeah.
theater. But as I'm sure you know, it was also built as a movie house.
Yes, right.
And it lacks a lot of the elements that a traditional theater has.
Yes.
So not only is it very large, but it doesn't have wing space on the
Right.
side where you can move sets on and off.
Fly
It
space,
doesn't
yeah,
have
right.
fly space. You
Right.
can't fly anything up and
Up and
down.
down.
The dressing rooms are very interesting. You've got two tiny little, almost individual dressing rooms on either side. You go up a flight to sort of the big, grand, well,
Right.
it's more the featured act dressing room for really
Yes.
one person, but
Right.
it's very nice. That's where somebody like a famous comedian or
Right.
singer would be. And then you go all the way to the third floor, and there's a couple more dressing rooms. So it was interesting. We were cats running up and down the stairs. And, so I mean, the Paramount, obviously, we're so grateful to have it in Peekskill, but we saw as theater artists that it had limits.
Yes, yeah.
And we started talking about how amazing it would be if Peekskill had a space that was smaller, a bit smaller, that was a more traditional theater space, that could also have rehearsal studios, a place where people can collaborate, create new work, teach,
Yeah.
because what's funny, when I first got to Peekskill and I was reading all about the renovation of the Paramount, I called up and said, can I come teach for you?
Right.
I'm a performing artist.
You're talking about, who did you call, the Paramount?
I called the Paramount,
Right.
thinking, because to me the term performing arts center, where I grew up in Colorado, meant that you had a center with
Right.
rehearsal
Dance and
spaces
music
teaching
and, right, drama and, yeah.
So my concept was very different. So when I spoke to the then executive director,
Pat, was it? Pat
no,
Brown?
that was earlier.
Before.
It was John Janoski.
Yeah, John, sure. Yeah.
He told me, no, we don't have that
Right.
kind of space here. We don't
Right.
do arts education. We have no place for you to teach.
Right.
And I was really disappointed. So all of this as Sol and I talked, we thought, this would be amazing, because Peekskill, as you said, this isn't just for Peekskill.
Right, right.
And I can talk to you about why we kept Peekskill in the name, but Peekskill sort of is the city that people come to in this area.
Right.
Hopefully, it's easy access from Cortland, from Croton, from Garrison, from Cold Spring, from Yorktown. And it could be a place where people can come together and do work, perform, teach. Our big vision would actually have more than one theater space. We would have sort of a small experimental type space, and then a larger, more traditional space. So, so she and I talked, but it was just a talk. And then, actually a theater company that I know you've been involved with, YCP
Theater Works in Yorktown. Yes, yeah.
Community, I guess it used to be Yorktown Community Players, but
right.
now it's YCP Theater Works.
Right.
They were actually looking to
I know.
create a space in
I've
Peekskill.
been on the periphery of trying to help them navigate the waters in Yorktown of who to talk to, because I work with the town supervisor, Michael Grace, and he, by the way, just to inject this because it is pertinent to the conversation, Michael has established an arts council in Yorktown.
Oh, wonderful.
And I know for sure that we can learn a lot from what you're doing here in Peekskill. In fact, he and I always invoke Peekskill as a model of this type of thing, and so yeah.
Right. Well, and Yorktown does have Yorktown Stage, which does provide a teaching space and a performance space.
And we should mention Barry Liebman does a terrific job.
Absolutely. And in fact, when I first arrived in this area, I had a very small baby in tow. I went and interviewed with him, to see if it might be possible to work with him. It was more like I went to meet him.
Yes.
Because he wasn't really hiring at the time.
No,
but, he had his staff. But I had heard great things about him and continue to hear great things about him.
Yeah.
But anyway, So
when was this? So when was Embark formed?
Well, really, so we started talking 2009, 2010.
Right. Okay.
We call our official beginning August of 2011, because that's when we actually first incorporated our name and opened up a bank account.
So it's still sort of a toddler in that, in human chronology.
It is. Right? No, it really is. And boy, have we learned that developing an arts organization does take
like bringing a baby
steps.
huh?
Yes. But a lot has happened over the last 4 years. We've learned a lot. We developed a board. We, as I said, we filed in the state of New York as a nonprofit. Then we began the long pursuit of our federal 501c3 status.
And you were saying you just did get that, so congratulations. I know what that's like, because we have our foundation.
Yes, no, it is, and it's now a much longer process than it used to be, for a couple reasons. I think they're a little more careful who and how they hand out the 501c3, but also the regulations changed a few years back, that even very small nonprofits do need to file every year a 1099. And what happened is many did not, and many lost their 501c3 status, and now have reapplied. So that makes the process twice as long. So anyway, it took us 14 months from the time we filed to actually receiving it. So that has been a huge step for us. But back to YCP, we heard that YCP was considering a space in Peekskill, which excited us.
Right.
But then, unfortunately, their board decided against that. And that's when we sort of reached, at that point anyway, there might be conversations that have been reestablished, but at that point we reached out to Marilyn Heberling, who had been very active in that. And she started working with us, and we started reaching out to other local arts organizations and individual artists.
Right. So we should talk about where are you now?
So where we are now physically?
Yes, physically, yes. The physical spaces.
Yes. So it'll be 2 years ago this fall, we were fortunate to actually move into what we call our stepping stone space, which is Embark at EMC or Embark at Energy Movement Center. So that's at 925 South Street.
Right.
Right on, so very, very close to the coffee house, very close. We're just down the street from Gleason's,
Yes.
from the Beale Street Barbershop. So we're right on South Street.
From Restaurant Row on Division Street is right around the corner.
Right, and now we've got the Hudson Room coming in on the corner. I don't know if you've heard about that,
Yes.
but yeah. So I mean, Peekskill is just
Yeah, it's vibrant.
continuing to
it's
take
vibrant.
off.
Yeah, and it's right around. And Energy Movement Center is right around the corner from the Paramount.
Right. And so what's been great is since we've been there for 2 years, really our mission has kind of in that space has been sort of threefold. I mean, first of all, we want to create a place where our artist members, and by the way, you can be an artist member of Embark, a performing or literary artist member. You can be an individual, so
Right.
you could be a poet, a actor, a dancer, a choreographer.
Right. And by the way, I just wanted to mention, when at the end of the show or when the show's over, I'm going to sign up.
Yeah, you're not a member yet, that's true.
I brought the application.
That's true.
Well, I mean, I had a sort of audition last weekend, right? So thanks to you.
Yeah, you've performed with us, and I didn't know if you want to talk about that or not, but we should. It was amazing. It was amazing.
Fun.
Right. So I mean, yeah.
But the other thing I think it's worth mentioning, Katie, and again, this is really part of the mission of this particular show, Frank Talks with Bruce the Blog, is a community affairs show, is that somebody stepped up to help you. Darby Melnick, I'm saying.
Yes.
And that's a great example.
Yes.
And I know this is really part of the essence and the spirit of Embark is to work together with all of the other people in the community.
Right. So Darby Melnick, who was managing the entire building of Energy Movement Center, she knew what our mission was.
Right.
She had a first floor space that is basically a large dance studio. She was using it as a dance co-op, but it was also becoming cumbersome for her to manage that in addition to her business, which is yoga, Pilates,
Right.
X-Bike, personal training, acupuncture, massage, really
Right.
what I call the healing arts, but
Yes, right.
that may not be the term she uses.
Yeah.
But she said, and I had actually rented the space to do a summer camp there because I do a couple different summer camps. And she said, it seems like the mission of Embark is very much aligned with what I'm trying to do on this first floor. Would you like to come in and manage it?
Right.
Now, of course, our board of directors at that point wasn't sure we had the money to actually move into a physical space.
Right.
But Darby worked with us in that initially, basically the money that came in from our teaching artists and performances was the deal. So it made it possible for us to really make that transition. And since we've been there, like I said, we have this threefold sort of mission, which is our artist members, which can be individuals.
Yes.
For $25 a year, so we make it extremely affordable.
Yes.
Or a company, such as hand-to-mouth players, YCP. We had Tri-County Opera.
Yeah, so when you say company, you mean a theatrical or arts company
right.
as opposed to
so a group
commercial.
of people.
Yeah.
Right. We do have business sponsors,
Well, no,
but that's different.
well, that's
Right.
critical, by
And
the way,
that
to
is
have the
critical.
support of the business community.
Yeah, it's been, and we've had some amazing sponsors.
Yeah.
But yeah, so a company can join us for only $40 a year.
Right.
And what you get for that membership is you can use the space at a reduced rate if you want to teach, if you want to perform, if you want to rehearse,
Right.
even if you want to have a party.
Yeah.
One of our members had her 60th birthday party in the space and did a big disco party. And, so if you're a member, you get a reduced rate. We try to make it very affordable to teach in our space because, we know that's sometimes difficult. Say you want to teach a new creative class, but it's going to take you a while to build your audience,
Right.
And so, if you want to do a class on having your own cable show, but
Right.
maybe 3 people are interested initially, and then you get 6, then you get 8. So we try to make it very affordable. And we also, the other advantage to our space is our artists can meet each other, and many, many collaborations have happened as a
Right.
result of, for example, we did the Vagina Monologues this year, which brought 12 women together from the
Right.
community. Some actors, some not.
Right.
So many connections were made and so many collaborations have happened since, and that's really the power of that space.
Right.
Obviously, our mission is also arts education. We are very proud to say that we keep our classes, especially for children, very low cost.
Right.
Now, our artists do set what they're going to charge for their class, but we really encourage them to make an affordable option.
Sure.
So I teach dance, and so my dance classes tend to be $12 to $15, versus
A session,
a class,
Right.
Versus some of the larger studios, which, it's fine. It's just a very different model. We really are trying to bring the arts, and we're very proud because thanks to my co-founder, Sol Miranda, who is Puerto Rican, happens to be bilingual.
Yeah.
Everything we send out,
Which is great. I saw
Yeah.
that. And in fact, on the, I don't know, Richard, if you could show the poster, right? It says Embark and Embarcar, which is
Right.
the Spanish, of course, translation of Embark.
Right, because from the very beginning, that's been part of our goal is to, we in Peekskill especially, we have a very large Spanish-speaking population.
Sure, yeah.
And,
And part of, and I know on your website, and we should mention that people watching can go to embarkpeekskill.com. But on the website, one of the words you use, which is deservedly so a very popular word these days, as it should be, is diversity.
Yes.
Right? I mean, that's one of the things that you espouse.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things that definitely drew me to Peekskill, and I believe I can say the same for Sol, is, we had both been most recently in Brooklyn. And Brooklyn, you love that diversity and
Yeah.
you thrive. And it's interesting how many people that live in Peekskill have come from Brooklyn.
Right.
Of course, we also have an amazing population that has been here for generations.
Right.
Then we have a population, we have an immigrant population.
Sure.
We have, and then of course we have the artists
Right.
who have been drawn here. First, the wave of visual artists.
Right.
With the artist lofts and affordable housing and other resources for artists. And then the performing artists were kind of a second wave.
Right.
And that was another thing that sort of prompted us to get going, is that you had what was then the Peekskill Arts Council, which is now Peekskill Arts Alliance.
Right.
But again, a little bit more focused on visual artists, fine
Right,
artists,
fine
painters,
arts, yes,
sculptors,
right.
and I mean, actually now under the leadership of Maureen Winzig, the Peekskill Arts Alliance has been doing more reaching out to
Yes.
performers, and that's been great. And and we've been collaborating with them on different projects, and especially now, I think we both have found our rhythm and niche and how to work together. And at first it took us a while, but now it's really, I think it's great.
And we've had, by the way, Maureen on the show, and I just saw her recently at a Hudson Valley Gateway Chamber of Commerce breakfast meeting, and she does a great job. You're right.
yeah.
I mean, she was
Definitely one of the
working that room like
hardest
nobody.
working women in Peekskill.
Yeah, which is great. No, she was working the room and
Hardest
going
working
around
person
and
Yeah.
advocating the Peekskill Arts Alliance.
No, she's been amazing, and she's an amazing artist herself as well. But so, that was also where we said, we need more for the performing and literary artists here in town. And so arts education is also very important to us, and we also have done outreach into the schools. Both Sol and I, had children in the district. We were active in the dual language parent advisory board.
Right.
And Sol, because she had a relationship with a company in the city called Teatro Sea, which is a bilingual musical theater company, we brought them up here twice to do performances here in the city. And the second one, which was at the middle school, we had an audience of, I think it was close to 450 parents, families, for this bilingual production of Pinocchio musical. So that part of our outreach has been very important. And then, the third sort of bullet point in our mission in the space right now is to provide that opportunity for community participation in the arts.
Right.
And we are so proud that in the 2 years we've been in that space, we have literally, I feel like we've shown it all. We've had a Baroque violin duo that live here in town, Karen Marmer and her husband Georg Schwartz. Amazing.
And then, of course, there's you can't have a conversation about Peekskill performing arts without mentioning Daisy Jopling.
Daisy
course, right?
Jopling, yes, who is a dynamo, a force of nature.
She's a great ambassador.
Absolutely, and she has performed in our space. She has volunteered her time to come in. She's performed with other, we had another artist who's on our board, Brian Delma Taylor, released a CD and had a big CD release party in our space. Well, Daisy came to play, and Alexis Cole, who's an amazing jazz singer here in town, came to sing. That was actually one of the best parties of the year, I do have to say. Were you at that one? I feel like you were. No, okay.
One of the best parties of the year. I probably missed it. Yeah.
I know something. You came to around December. We had an amazing theater company of young theater artists. Well, I say young, probably in their 20s, 30s, from the Briarcliff area, who came in to do a production of Neil LaBute's play Fat Pig.
Right.
Okay. Now that is a play.
And we should mention which title did cause its own share of controversy. Some people, but no, but it was extreme at the Energy Movement Center. Yeah, and there was a lot of people from the Axial Theater where I've trained, taking acting classes. Howard Meyer Acting were in the play, and it was wonderfully produced and directed.
It was
performed.
well done. The production company was called NoworNever Productions.
Right.
Margie Ferris was kind of the head producer who we worked with. But just, I have to say, everything about that experience in that company was wonderful.
Yeah.
They came, they sold out 4 or maybe 5 performances.
Yeah, it was packed, yeah.
They rocked the house. It was a high quality performance. What I really liked is the way we worked together, We put in our energy to help them in any way we could with marketing. They put in their energy to come. We transformed the space. We added platforming for the audience. We really transformed the space. But what I also liked about it is that play, that play is something that needs an intimate space.
Yes, right.
You don't want to do that on a vast stage.
No, not at all, yeah.
It's because it's about, and it is provocative, it's about a young man who falls in love with a woman who is very heavy and not the, whatever ideal media puts out there.
Right.
And yes, you're right, it was provocative. In fact, the poster, which was designed by NowerNever Productions, we had some businesses refuse to put it up.
Right. Yes.
But if theater can't cause a little controversy, then once in a while.
Well, the thing about those situations that I find just unacceptable when people protest is they haven't seen the play and they don't even really know what the content is.
Yes.
So they're totally prejudging something, and they don't realize that in fact it's supposed to sensitize people to that, not desensitize them.
No, absolutely.
To the fact that we are too image conscious.
Absolutely, and here's this couple that had amazing chemistry.
Right.
Amazing chemistry, and they're not going to be together because
his
coworkers are.
Your physical form.
So that, and the same can be said of the vagina monologues.
Yeah.
We had several. No, I shouldn't say several. No, we had some people a little aghast at the title. It's still surprisingly, it's been around for, I think, almost 10 years.
Right.
But I do remember someone who kind of wrote a scathing comment somewhere in social media about it. Clearly had never read the piece.
No, but that's what the arts are supposed to do. They're supposed to make people think and push boundaries. And well, we only have a couple of minutes. I mean, this show, as a lot of these, and this one even maybe more than others, has flown by. But we should just quickly mention, Katie, what's happening this summer in Peekskill that Embark has created, the block party series.
Right. What happened, well, we kind of co-created it. What happened is the restaurateurs of Restaurant Row had gotten permission to close off North Division Street all summer long, Saturdays and Sundays. And they contacted us. We've worked with some of them on various projects to coordinate and curate this summer block party series. Right. So Sol, really, I have to give her 99% of the credit, has been scheduling artists, a variety of artists, performing artists, also bringing in vendors and some visual artists and children's activities.
And it's Saturday and Sunday, basically through at least Labor Day,
at least Labor Day. Yeah, the restaurateurs are talking about extending it a bit. I don't know if Embark will be part of the extension because we have to get into our fall teaching schedule.
Right.
And then, we just finished up our Midsummer Night's Firefly and Fairy Festival, which you were part of, doing a little Shakespeare with us.
And I will always, no matter where my acting takes me or doesn't take me, I will always remember that you gave me my first shot at Shakespeare, which in my way of looking at things, you helped me raise the bar on my acting. But in any case, and I won't even bother to say where there's a will, there's a way.
And there's one last thing, can I get in?
Yeah.
Is that we, Embark, are going to very soon launch our next stage fundraising campaign. And this is just going to be really important because
so we want everybody to
keep your eye out for that.
Right, to do what you
because
can. Because
we really want to continue this and take it to the next level.
All right, and thank you. Katie
you.
Schmidt-Feder. And again, break a leg to Saul Miranda on her new role on the Tina Fey pilot and series.
Let's hope it keeps her
Yeah, I know.
not too far away.
Not too far away from us. Thank you for watching, and remember, thank you for watching Frank Talks with Bruce the Blog, just to repeat the title. And remember, when Bruce the Blog listens, people talk. Thank you.